Hello, everybody. Welcome to our retirement gala for RNU President Debbie Forward. I'm Donna Walsh, RNU's Executive Assistant, and I will be your MC for this evening. We have a small gathering in room consisting of Debbie's family, our board of directors, and our staff. But I do know we have hundreds of proud RNU members and special invited guests watching virtually with us tonight as well. Welcome, one and all. Welcome to this special retirement celebration. And I won't delay things any longer. It's time to bring in our guest of honor. I bring your attention to the red carpet. I give to you the one, the only, our leader, our guest of honor, RNU President Debbie Forward.
One word to describe Debbie. She's fun.
Approachable.
Fearless.
Visionary.
Dignified.
Powerful.
You are very inspirational to all of us.
Confident.
Ambitious.
Empowering.
Leader.
Caring.
You are a legend.
Fighter.
Fierce.
Courageous.
Fearless.
Unique.
Debbie is energetic.
Strategic.
Confident.
Determined.
Dynamic.
Hardworking. Mom. She's my mom.
Strong.
Charismatic.
Workaholic.
Roar.
Committed.
One word I find best to describe you was friend.
Dedicated.
Compassionate.
Devoted.
Persevering.
Caring.
Inspiring.
Committed.
Integrity.
Inspiring.
Visionary.
Loyal.
Dauntless.
Motivator.
Courageous.
Advocate.
Dedicated.
Dynamic.
I think I picked the word role model.
Audacious. It means bold, gutsy, and beautiful. Cheers.
Extraordinary. Yeah, extraordinary. That'd be as good as anything.
In planning this special night, we had so many people who wanted to be involved, to extend their best wishes to Debbie. While we couldn't include everyone, we decided there was no better person to start the evening off with a toast to Debbie than the one who has stood by her side for all 24 of her years as president of the Registered Nurses Union, who saw her at her best, helped her through the worst. He cheered her on from the sidelines and held her arm higher when victory was theirs. I call upon John Vivian, Executive Director of the Registered Nurses Union, to say a few words.
Have to get rid of this. Well, if we've learned anything else this evening, we know why Donna Walsh burns through keyboards at a vociferous rate in comparison to anybody else in the office. Never thought this day would come. I've worked alongside Debbie for 24 years. We've been through so much together. There's been so many high points and stories along the way. It's hard to capture all of that. And what Debbie has meant to me and her organization in a short toast. They told me I had 3 minutes. For 10 years, I've been dreaming about having 3 hours for a roast. Never mind a toast. But I guess you'll just have to wait for my book. So I speak tonight on behalf of the thousands of registered nurses she's represented and the close to 100 volunteers who served on our board of directors over the past 24 years. We all learned from Debbie. We grew with Debbie. And guys, I want to tell you, I've been 30 plus years. Being a leader isn't easy. Being a union leader is even harder. It requires intelligence. It requires risk-taking. It requires communication skills. It requires endless hours analyzing an issue, thinking outside the box, and finding what was often the perfect approach to a problem that the rest of us, including myself, thought insurmountable. Whether it was hiding behind a planter, waiting to spring on a certain premier with an idea to avoid a strike. In our business, sometimes you have to find ways to get to the politicians without the bureaucrats. A private word can be the key. That happened. Yeah, she's laughing. Or squaring off in public with some of the more formidable leaders of this province over the generation. She's been our president through 9 premiers. 9. And it was no accident that in 2005, the business community voted her Business Communicator of the Year. A union leader. Being acknowledged by the business community. These things don't just happen, right? They're earned. And she earned them. And we all benefited. Not just the registered nurses in every corner of the province, and indeed in every corner of the country. That's my 3 minutes. Wait for the book. So Debbie, enjoy the discounts. I get them too. Enjoy not having to lie about your age. You can start bragging about it. Bring a foldable chair and a bottle of wine to the closest winners and wait for the new stock. And get rid of that bad habit of yours of working. And in the words of Spock, live long and prosper. You have done so much for so many. It's time to do more for yourself. Folks, our president, Debbie Forward.
Cheers. Thank you, John. The Registered Nurses Union has had a phenomenal leadership in these two. They make a great team. We thank our members, branches, colleagues, and friends of Debbie's who submitted pictures and videos for tonight. We have had an overwhelming response. We will play some of these videos this evening and keep some for tomorrow for our second day of convention, but we will include as much as we can. But we can assure you, Debbie, you will receive a copy of all the submissions so you can sit back with that glass of wine when you have lots of time on your hands to watch it. You will quickly see from the collection of messages, videos, and pictures that the key message is clear. You have had a profound impact on many people. And Debbie has not only had a great impact on nursing and healthcare provincially, she has also played an incredible role at the national level through her work with the Canadian Federation of Nurses Unions. As a member of the National Executive Board, Debbie has influenced health policy and direction at the national level. We are thrilled to have the leader of the Canadian Federation of Nurses Unions, Linda Silas, join us tonight via Zoom.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Debbie. I wish so much I could be there, but on behalf of the National Executive Board, which you know you have friends in every province of this country, and also your dearest friend, Pauline Worsfold, who's working tonight and wish she'd be taking my spot in giving you our best thank yous. I'm wearing a boa with lime green. I have a glass of bubbly to toast you. So please, everyone, raise your glass of water, rum, screech to say thank you to our Debbie.
Thank you, Debbie.
Of course, I have to have a little drink. And you know what? I'm not going to cry or nothing like that, but you know the dress Debbie's wearing tonight? We were all with her in Saint-Hyacinthe when she bought that dress, a little town in Quebec, and we said, where do you think you're going to wear that? She says, one day, Linda, I'll have an occasion to wear that dress, and you looked amazing in it. Just amazing. I'm so proud of you. The words I saw tonight on the video, epic, amazing, smart, are all words that detect you. You are and always be a rock in our heart across Canada. You're a friend, and you brought so much to the national agenda. Paul and Ryan, you've been raised by a kick-ass feminist with the biggest heart we ever known, and that's what made you the man that you are today. So be proud. And she will be like your grandmother. She'll be kicking your ass if you don't do it right the rest of your life. So be careful. She has very pointy shoes. We miss the big bone-crunching hugs that you give all of us, but we will meet again. We're already planning the party. Yvette and John, know that Debbie can retire safely and very proudly because she knows her baby organization, her nurses, her registered nurses and nurse practitioner of Newfoundland, Labrador are in good hands. So I'm leaving it to that. Please enjoy your party. I can't wait to see the full video. Big kiss, big hug. Bye, everyone.
Bye, Linda. Thank you. Debbie has solid relations with all government party leaders and stakeholders, and she continually advocates for nurses at every opportunity presented to her. I now invite you to watch some special messages from these leaders.
Wow, 24 years as president of the Newfoundland and Labrador Registered Nurses Union. That's quite an accomplishment. Debbie, you are a respected leader in this province. You are an advocate, a problem solver, and one who never backs down. Not only for your members, but also for your patients and clients in healthcare facilities and residents in long-term care. Please know that your commitment to the nursing profession is recognized. You have brought your membership through some turbulent times, and I have had the honor of working alongside of your members for many years, seeing firsthand just how critical they are, and knowing and loving their value. So on the occasion of your retirement, I want to wish you all the best. Take some time to relax and enjoy your family, but please continue in some way to give back to the people of this province. We certainly need more people like you. Congratulations.
Debbie, you've arrived at the close of a chapter of your career, but I'm sure not the end of it. Your career has taken a number of transformations as you've gone along, I guess primarily from caregiving as a registered nurse to, as a union official, primarily an advocate. And so congratulations on having had a great career. You have another career in you yet, I'm sure, or maybe two. And I look forward to seeing you in the receiving line again at Government House.
Debbie, your steady hand and steadfast determination has been the cornerstone of the Newfoundland and Labrador Registered Nurses Union. Your dedication to the advancement of the nursing profession is unquestionable. You have earned every minute of your retirement. We stand beside you, proud of your achievements and accomplishments, and for everything you have done for the people you represent. Your insights and guidance will be missed. We know that the new president will have big shoes to fill. They can take solace knowing that they are following in the footsteps of someone who took great care in ensuring the organization is well positioned for the future. Thank you for all your hard work, Debbie. Enjoy your retirement. It is very well deserved.
Debbie's love for nursing and the profession took her from the front lines to the classroom. She excelled as a nursing educator, mentoring students, instilling a love of nursing in each of them. Her dedication to the profession has no limits.
Hi Debbie, we'd like to thank you for your years of dedication and service to the nursing profession within the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. From all of us here at Western Regional School of Nursing, we'd like to wish you a
Happy retirement, Debbie!
Debbie, like so many others, I want to join in and offer my sincere congratulations and well wishes for a very happy retirement. The faculty and staff at Memorial University Faculty of Nursing are certainly proud that you are one of our many accomplished alumni, and I've always loved hearing stories about how you and your classmates have stayed in touch, taken trips together, and remained friends since graduation. You are an amazing leader and advocate for nurses and for the nursing profession, and I want to thank you for that. Your presence will be greatly missed, Debbie, but I wish you all the best as you start your next adventure. And of course, I look forward to seeing you at future alumni events.
On behalf of the Center for Nursing Studies, administration, faculty, staff, and students, best wishes on your retirement.
We wish you happiness, relaxation, and health, and time to make new memories as you start this new chapter in your life.
Debbie, it's been a privilege to work with you in various capacities. You will always be remembered for your incredible accomplishments and your outstanding leadership in nursing in this province and beyond. Enjoy every moment of your retirement, especially the time spent with family and friends, and of course the retail therapy. Wishing you all the best.
We have already heard this evening about the incredible impact Debbie has had on nursing in Newfoundland and Labrador, on our union. We have prepared a special video that looks back at where it all began and celebrates Debbie and her incredible career. Have a watch.
Debbie Forward was born in St. John's, Newfoundland. She is the daughter of Reginald Powell and Lorna Clowder. Debbie was just a year old when her father sadly passed away. Her mother Lorna taught Debbie that anything is possible. There's always a way forward. A single mother in the 1950s, Lorna raised two successful daughters,
Donna and Debbie, and they're both nurses, which I'm so proud of. And it comes in handy too, I can tell you.
Debbie graduated from Munn School of Nursing in 1980 and began working in the ER at the Grace General Hospital.
When we graduated, we both worked at the Grace. So she worked at the Grace in the OPD and I worked up on sick surgery.
She loved the outpatients work, the dramatic part of that. She loved that.
We both competed on a position in the nursing school, in the School of Nursing at the Grace Hospital. Unfortunately, I wasn't successful, but Debbie was. And that's when she went, changed from working on the nursing units to being a nursing instructor.
In 1985, she began teaching at the Grace Hospital School of Nursing and went on to teach at the Center for Nursing Studies in 1996.
Everything she started to do, she made it. She was a wonderful teacher also, nurse's teacher.
Her union involvement started in the early 1980s when she was elected shop steward on her unit. In 1988, she joined our board as a St. John's regional representative.
We both started on the Nurses Union board at the same time, and at that time we were St. John's regional representatives. She was a young mother like myself, had two young children.
They were her pride and joy, and nothing was too much for her to do for either one of them.
I don't know, her children are her life.
She was an exceptional mother.
So she loves her family, but her other love is the union.
Debbie became president in 1996.
I can remember when she said, "Mom, I'm going to run for the nurses union." And she said, "What do you think?" And I said, "My dear, you can do it. Nothing is impossible. You can do anything. You work for it and you can do it."
Our president had stepped down. The election was thrown open to any board member. You had to be a board member in order to run. So I put my name forward. I was nominated as well as Debbie. And the board voted and chose Debbie as the president.
Oh, I can remember it. I guarantee I can remember. It was a wonderful day when she got elected. She was so excited. And of course, I was even more excited.
I do remember all the campaigning she did, which was a lot of work for her.
I remember that we were getting a new van and that we were getting a new cell phone. She was getting like this big bag cell phone that she was gonna get to have, and that was pretty exciting and brand new.
It didn't take her very long to get into the role and to shine. She just took on the role. It was made for her.
My first memories of Debbie are back in the late 1990s and the time leading up to the 99 strike and all the workload issues, staffing issues, safety issues at work and everything. It was just boiling over, which culminated, of course, in our 99 strike.
This isn't just for us. It's for our patients. It's for the future of healthcare in this province.
It was a turbulent time.
Events were out of hand in our union. We had so many casual nurses. We had so much dissatisfaction. Our pay was not adequate. Yet we had a government that wanted to pattern bargain us and put us in with all the other unions.
If the government doesn't pay and recognize nurses for their role, then we won't have a healthcare system in this province anymore.
Debbie was there at the forefront. She stuck to what she was looking for.
We were arguing that we needed a major financial adjustment. We were the lowest paid in the country.
We went till the last minute before we decided and made sure that there was nothing else forthcoming before we asked nurses to take this position.
If you were a nurse at that time, you probably remember the strike. It was 9 days long. We ended up being legislated back with the agreement we had already rejected.
And we still didn't give in. You know, although we were legislated back, Debbie still was the hero.
Chuck Fury, who was another minister in Tobin's government, he said we didn't have the guts to give them what they wanted when they were on the street, and we ended up giving them more. And they did.
1999 gave the nurses union and Debbie Ford the credibility, because not only did they talk the talk, but they walked the walk, and they came to be respected and somewhat feared.
One of the things I remember the most about that strike was the night it ended. The House was sitting, the legislation was passed somewhere around midnight. There were hundreds and hundreds of us outside demonstrating. The riot squad, the SWAT team, the RNC, were in a bus on the back parking lot. The black and the helmets and the visors and everything else. And she went over and she banged on the door of the bus. And they opened the doors and she walked up into the bus. And, you know, police officers from one end of it to the other, all in garb, started to cheer. And then Debbie started to sing Solidarity Forever. And they sang Solidarity Forever with her. And, you know, if you were to ask me my fondest memory, boy, that had to be it. It was just incredible. Debbie absolutely finessed the end of the 1999 strike, and knowing when it was time.
Deb is a visionary. You know, to see things ahead of time, you know, used to astound me.
The respect for Debbie Forward shot up exponentially, even by the public of the province, to the point that Brian Tobin's mother told him, don't mess with the nurses. Like, you can't mess with the nurses. And he admitted that after.
Farewell to Brian Tobin Forrest, now we're going to leave you. Heave away, we nurses, heave away.
The one thing I remember is the license plates that all the nurses got on their cars.
Mr. Tobin, we will not forget. Yeah, we all wore those license plates with pride.
I think Mom still has that in her house, so it was definitely a big moment in our career.
Debbie Ford plays the long game. The 1999 strike was not about 1999, it was about every year after.
The awakening, if you want. We never looked back.
They came to know that Debbie Ford was willing to pull the trigger.
We ended up with a big raise, but the government was afraid to give us, in the face of the public, they gave us through the back door because they knew Debbie Forward was right and our negotiating team were right.
It's just that advocacy piece that always comes to mind. You look at people who are there for folks like you and I when we're sick, and they're there no matter what, but who's there for them? The union is who is there for them, and Debbie is who is there for them.
Fast forward 10 years later.
We had the almost strike of 2009. So 10 years later, after 99, things are boiling over again in the workplace. Patients are not getting the care that they need.
And now we had a very seasoned union president who had a playbook. The premier of the day probably was less tolerant of defiance, especially in the labor sector.
It was an absolutely fascinating round of negotiations, with a lot of negotiations being done in the media.
Again, there was pattern bargaining. Again, government wanted us to sign on to the dotted line.
The union says it's simple. Recommendation of rejection is based on language issues, not monetary ones.
All we want to do is have a collective agreement that addresses recruitment and retention. If government would drop these two issues, they would have a contract with nurses.
Really, we had one clause that was keeping us apart. And Debbie looked at the clause and she saw something that none of us had seen that was perfect.
It came down to the last very wee hours of the morning.
When my cellular rang, and he says, the Premier says no picket lines. And I said, guys, I got 1,200 people going on the street in 3 hours.
We were ready to go. if that agreement didn't happen.
And at 5 a.m., they came to a deal.
And I mean, you can imagine the stress we were both under. And I said, Debbie, unless I'm mistaken, I believe we won. And she stood up and came over. Two of us hung on to each other, and we cried like babies. We were that tired, and they agreed with the wording that Debbie had worked out, and we averted a strike.
I think it was a game of who will blink first, and we didn't.
Danny Williams went up against Debbie Forward and the registered nurses of Newfoundland and Labrador, and soon became aware that what we were saying is right, that we were understaffed, and that we couldn't go on.
We have been acknowledged and credited as being the only group to stand up to the power of the Williams government, and this in itself is an incredible feat. And it was because of the strength and solidarity of nurses that we were able to achieve.
I think she's motivated by the fact that she knows that things can be really bad for our members. Who's there for them? Well, we're there for them, and I think she takes that very seriously, and she gets up in the morning, and I've never seen her not come in with that moxie of, we need to improve things for our members.
Everyone's important to her. Everyone is special. She likes fighting for people.
Being a visionary, she gave us a direction. And she's taken us so far that I believe that we're one of the more progressive unions out there.
Under Debbie's reign, shall I call it a reign, I could see more connection with the rest of the nursing groups nationally.
I've worked with Debbie for many, many moons, and we've been at meetings locally, provincially, nationally, and internationally. On our national executive board, she's always that person who will remind us, did you think of that nurse working on that unit or in that long-term care facility? Did you think of our members?
She was very innovative in bringing in different things because of the things that she learned when she would be with the other nurses' unions all around the world.
So the Clarity Project was one of the biggest visionary things that Debbie Forward took on for our organization.
When you went to a place where there were nurses, you didn't know who the nurses were or if there were nurses there at all.
Debbie would say, you know, if they start eliminating us, people aren't even going to know we're gone.
You could go up to anybody and think they're a registered nurse because everybody was dressed alike. There was nothing that made the registered nurse stand out.
If you don't see someone now with the black and white, you know there's no registered nurse there.
It symbolizes the professional piece of what we do, and that's important, to know there's a registered nurse who's coordinating your care.
I mean, she had to sell it, you know, to go out and basically say that, you know, we're going to spend to try to get to this point. But she sold it, and she was right.
Debbie really was a believer in education, and that education was our way to help nurses understand the process, help nurses create the process.
She also has that knack about explaining something very simply so everybody understands.
We have to stop staffing based on the number of beds. You might have 10 patients in a bed that they are all walking up around. One RN could probably look after those 10. Or you could have 10 patients in those beds and you need one-on-one care for every single one of them. Staffing is dependent on the needs of the patient, not on the numbers of beds.
Because your workload is not measured accurately unless you base it on acuity. Debbie went to New Zealand with the Canadian Federation of Nurses Unions representatives to look at their model, which was based on acuity. And she came back and she went to our government at the time and she presented that New Zealand model based on acuity staffing.
The government revised what they were looking for to include the capability of staffing based on acuity. If this comes to fruition, and there's every indication it will, acuity-based staffing, that will be Debbie Forward's legacy, and it's yet to come.
We have certainly grown up. You know, we were very young when Debbie took over, and she's been here more than half the life of the union.
When I think about Debbie's career, her sidekick was always Mary Prideaux. She meant so much to Debbie as her right-hand person here at the Registered Nurses Union.
And Mary was very devoted to the union. Mary spent so many long hours and poured everything into the union, really.
And I think it left a big void for Debbie when Mary passed away.
Hey, there ain't no power like the power of the nurses, and the power of the nurses won't stop.
We had many, many, many great times together. We had many incidents of great hilarity together because Mary and Debbie were always great shoppers and I wasn't. And so there were times when I was stuck with the two of them at some location and ended up at a mall somewhere and then swore I would never do it again.
Yeah, Mom loves to shop.
Oh, look what about the winners. She loves clothes.
And beautiful shoes.
Well, my old room at her house now is a second walk-in closet.
And you know something? She's a great hugger.
She loves Christmas.
She loves Mexican food.
Deb loves a joke.
She has a great sense of humor, a great laugh.
And Deb can tell a joke.
She loves Avery.
Avery. Who's the apple of her eye.
Everyone knows that she has a granddaughter named Avery.
Avery, because she is so special to her.
Hi, Grandma. I can't wait to play with you when you retire.
Debbie loves to entertain.
She can cook and bake. She loves cooking.
She does make a mean chicken wing.
There's no one can cook a dinner any better.
I love her turkey dinner.
The juice is coming out of it. It's not cooked too much, and it's just beautiful.
We've had a few good dances.
She loves to have a nice conversation over a good glass of wine.
We often start over here. She sees one thing, I see another, and eventually, you know, we move to where she was.
And she sees the humor and stuff.
Really super cool person.
An absolute barrel of fun.
And going to conventions, it's a different perspective on Debbie as a leader.
She knows how to laugh.
She wants that to be fun for her members. She wants to have fun herself.
Debbie is extraordinary, and I love her so much.
I hope she finds something to do with that energy.
I don't know if I'll ever meet anybody in my life again like Debbie. I think she's one of a kind.
You gotta understand, Debbie Forward is a rock star to us.
She has the heart of a lion.
But she connects with people, and they know that she cares.
We will fight together, and we're stronger when we do it together. And that solidarity, when you're standing there with all of your members around you, and we're all, you know, saying that same thing, it is so uplifting and motivating and energizing, and just, you know, that is the power of the collective coming together. And we have to keep fighting for our patients, for ourselves. We have to keep fighting.
Anyone have a tissue? Like, how beautiful was that? Awesome. We have one more big surprise in store for Debbie for tonight, but before we get to that, we have two more short little clips we're going to share. Both share a special relationship with Debbie. Here they are.
The book of Proverbs in the Bible speaks about a capable woman who is difficult to find, one who works with willing hands, one whose lamp does not go out at night, one who opens her mouth with wisdom. Debbie Forward, in you we find such a capable woman. You are passionate about your chosen profession of nursing. You are deeply convinced that nurses are central to making our health system healthier. You promise to work closely with others to bring about better health for the people of this province. I learned all of that when I worked with you in the 1990s, as together we helped transform our province's health system. And I have seen you continue to live into that promise ever since. My colleague, my mentor, my friend, may you be blessed with the wisdom, the courage, the hope, and the possibility with which you have blessed all of us, and with which you have blessed me. Happy retirement.
Hi, Debbie. Congratulations on a well-deserved and hard-earned retirement. I heard there was a collective sigh of relief that they wouldn't have to face you anymore in the Department of Finance when you announced that it was your last contract. I know personally that you were the toughest negotiator I had ever met in my political career, and that's because you never blinked. You've done a great service to the members of your union, to patients, and to healthcare generally in the province. Enjoy a happy and a healthy and a safe retirement with your granddaughter.
Thank you, Sister Elizabeth and Danny. As we all know, and as we have all heard here tonight, Debbie loves to have a bit of fun. She loves a good joke. We put our thinking caps on and came up with this brilliant idea to bring some laughter to our evening. With this little surprise recording, especially for Debbie, our featured guest chronicles, satirizes, and ultimately celebrates all that is great and irreverent about our country. A #1 best-selling author. He is our most popular comic. A political satirist who knows exactly what matters to regular Canadians and what makes them laugh. And he's homegrown proud. He is one of our own from our lovely province. But unfortunately, due to his tight schedule, he could not appear live, but we do have this special recording.
Hello everyone, Rick Mercer here. I am thrilled to be here this evening to salute a great Newfoundlander, a great Canadian, and a great union leader, Debbie Forward. It's actually hard to believe that Debbie is stepping down. At first, I didn't believe it. In my mind, Debbie has always been there, fighting for nurses and fighting for the healthcare system in Newfoundland and Labrador. She is part of the fabric of the province. The idea that she may step down just struck me as absurd. It was like someone saying the Torngat Mountains are retiring and moving to Florida. But of course, Debbie's not retiring to move to Florida. She is retiring to spend more time with her first love, shopping. Now, it's been rumored that Debbie is considering politics. Well, that's not true. She just wants to slow down and put her feet up. And also, there's no such thing as the MHA from the Great Riding of Winners. If there was, she'd be in. And nobody deserves a break like Debbie. Being a union leader is very hard. It's a very stressful job. When you're a union leader, you're getting it from all sides. I know. I'm a proud union member. And like so many proud union members, I support my union 100%. But when I'm not complaining about my employer, I'm complaining about my union. And one thing we know about nurses is they're not shy. 24 years is a long time to be in the pressure cooker. 24 years, Debbie. Good Lord, people do less time for murder. Now, obviously, these are very strange days. How strange? Not a single person has appeared in public in the last 6 months without saying, "These are strange days." It's kind of replaced, "Hi, how are you?" or "You up?" Now, I won't go as far as to say that these are the strangest days in human history, but they're up there. Not going to lie, could be top 3, maybe even top 2. Who am I kidding? This is about as weird as it gets, but we make do. Look what we're doing right now. We are celebrating virtually. We are adapting and we are pivoting, and nobody can adapt and pivot like nurses. It's what nurses do every single day. Now, normally, in the before times, if Debbie was stepping down as president, there would be a very large party, an epic blowout with lots of hugging and kissing and dancing and laughing and screaming and yelling, and that would just be Debbie in her hotel room before she went downstairs to the dinner. What can we say about Debbie? Debbie's favorite color is green, unless there's a wine list, and then her favorite color is red. I know Debbie is going to adapt well to retirement. She says she plans on growing a large garden. That way, if she ever finds that she misses sitting across the negotiating table from government, she can just go out in the yard and talk to the vegetables. Of course, we know that Debbie is a formidable negotiator. I was kind of curious, so I called up Brian Tobin, and I said to him, I said, Brian, what were Debbie and the nurses like to negotiate with? Well, I don't know what happened, but I think I triggered him. He dropped the phone and he made a strange sound, kind of like a cat getting its tail stuck in a door. Anyway, after a few minutes he recovered eventually, and he actually said some very nice things about Debbie. I was going to bring up the famous license plates that said, "Nurses will remember," but I didn't want to destroy the man. Of course, it's not just the Liberals that tangled with the nurses over the years. The Tories tried too. Of course, Debbie and her team famously negotiated a last-minute deal with Danny Williams that went right down to the wire. I only wish that the Tories took that experience to heart and got Debbie and the nurses to negotiate Muskrat Falls. Yes, if only the nurses were in charge of our hydro development, it would be a very different story indeed. After all, there ain't no power like the power of the nurses, and the power of the nurses won't stop. You know it, I know it, and it's at times like these that everyone knows it. When this pandemic was called, when it started, everyone was told to work from home. And the vast majority of people in Canada somehow figured out how to work from home. But working from home was never on the table for the vast majority of nurses. You can't work from home when you're an OR nurse, or a trauma nurse, or a palliative care nurse, or a nurse whose job it is to hold the hand of a person who has COVID-19. Once again, when most of us as a society were confronted with an illness we did not understand, we were granted the luxury of running the other way, of hiding in our homes, safe with our families. Except nurses did the opposite. They did what they always do no matter what. They went to work on the front lines, ground zero. And this is nothing new. This is what nurses do. It's not only in their job description, it's in their DNA. In my lifetime, I witnessed the AIDS crisis, and we all know that in the early years of AIDS, because of fear, many patients were abandoned by their families and their communities. It was nurses that stayed put, providing care and also love. The same thing happened during the SARS outbreak in Toronto, and the same thing is happening all over the world right now during this pandemic. To me, nurses are superheroes. Because of my job for the last 20 years, I traveled the country nonstop, often visiting people in the workplace. And I've imagined myself in many different occupations, but never nursing. I could never do what it is that nurses do. I'm not that strong, I'm not that brave, I'm not that tough. And I can't party like that. You know it's true. It is a known fact. 92% of nurses are maniacs. They occasionally need to blow off steam, and when they do, it's a shit show. But that's just another reason to love them all the more. Nurses in Newfoundland and Labrador have been well represented by Debbie Forward over the last 24 years. And I'm thrilled to be able to congratulate you, Debbie, on your hard work and your incredible commitment to public service. You're a dynamic leader, and I wish you all the best as you not retire, but pivot. And let me sign off by making a toast to you, Debbie, a variation on the classic Irish blessing. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind always be at your back. May you always remember your mask when you get out of the car. That way you don't have to walk back across the parking lot in the rain, because there's nothing worse. And may you always have hand sanitizer nearby. The good stuff, not the soapy stuff. Nobody likes that. And may the sun shine warm upon your face, and may rains fall soft upon your garden and the turnips that grow there. Especially Brian and Danny. Cheers, congratulations, have a great night.
I don't think, we have some technical issues here, guys. Curtis, can you help?
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello?
Rick! Hi, Rick!
Hello? So I'm talking to the Delta, am I?
You are indeed.
Everyone is going mad at the Delta. Well, this is, I was so happy to be part of the show tonight, congratulating Debbie. One thing I didn't mention was my mother graduated with Debbie from MUN, because my mother was a nurse who went back to school, probably in her early 40s. And Debbie was a very young nurse in her early 20s. And they graduated together. And my mother has always said wonderful things about her, not just as a union leader, but also as a fellow student back in the day. She always spoke highly of her. So when I told her I had the opportunity to wish her well, Mom basically told me, well, you absolutely are doing that. Yeah, that's a no-brainer. Big fan.
Big fan. Hi, Rick. Oh,
hello.
How are you?
What? I'm good. Here. I'm excellent.
I'm here.
And how are you?
I'm awesome.
You must be completely overwhelmed.
I am sort of.
Do you need any retirement advice? Because, you know, I didn't quite retire, but I left my show, and I kind of feel like leaving your job would be a bit like leaving a show. Things are going to be a little bit different, but I think you're going to be great.
I know I'm going to be great, and I'm so glad you mentioned your mom, because I kept waiting for you to say something about your mom, and you didn't mention her. So I'm so glad you came back and talked about your mom, because we worked together. We didn't only graduate together, but we worked together at the Great School of Nursing. We shared an office together.
That's amazing.
I know.
And,
we both taught mental health.
And of course, I've always been a big fan of nurses, and not just because my mother, but she's one of my favorite people in the world, of course. So yes, that's part of the reason why. But as I said in my comments, you know, I've known so many nurses, some of my favorite people I went to school with became nurses. And it just made so much sense, because they were the people that you could always count on, and they were the caregivers, and they were the ones who were always helping out. And I think you did a tremendous job with the nurses in Newfoundland and Labrador, and I'm thrilled to be part of this tonight.
Thank you very much. And you know, no one asked me who I would like to have speak at my retirement event. And if they had have asked me, it would have been you. Because I admire you so much, and also because of the connection that I have with your mom. And I'm just blown away that you are here and celebrating this night with me. Thank you very much.
I'm so happy to be here, and I wish I was in the bubble.
Me too.
Like so many Newfoundlanders, you know, I feel like I'm so isolated away from Newfoundland. I mean, I always felt, you know, I've been spending a lot of time there the last 2 years since I left the show, but it's a very strange time, and I'm so happy that the vast majority of people in Newfoundland and Labrador are doing so well, and good luck with your bubble. And I hope to see you soon and cross paths with you soon.
Absolutely. Next time you're in town, drinks are on me.
Red wine, I know.
Oh, red wine. You're here. Thank you very much, Rick.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Happy retirement.
Thank you. How awesome is that?
Now, wasn't that special? Okay, Yvette. I'm going to call on Yvette here now. Yvette is RNU's Provincial Vice President, and she's going to make a special presentation to Debbie.
What am I doing now? Oh, that. Put no. Hard act to follow there, Debbie. You and Rick Mercer. I had his mom as an instructor, actually. Yeah, psychiatry. In 2006, our union created the Ovation Awards to honor and recognize registered nurses union leaders. This award program allows us to shine a spotlight on the registered nurses and nurse practitioners who make a difference in workplaces across our province. 19 of our members have received this prestigious honor over the years. These individuals exemplify the true spirit of nursing unionism. They stand up for patients and colleagues and uphold the objectives of the Registered Nurses Union. At their core, they are a leader for registered nurses, nurse practitioners, and their union. Earlier today, we presented the 2019 and 2020 Ovation Awards to Craig Brake and Lauren Byrne. Tonight, I'd like to present another Ovation Award, a very special Ovation Award, to our leader and champion, Debbie Forward. There is no one more deserving of an ovation than Debbie. This award is a celebration of her energetic advocacy for RNU members for the last 40 years. Debbie's involvement with Registered Nurses Union began in the early 1980s when she was elected shop steward for the emergency room at the Grace General Hospital. In 1988, she became a St. John's regional representative on the board of directors, and she held this position until she was elected union president in March of 1996. Debbie has advanced the rights of registered nurses and the Registered Nurses Union in countless ways. She's been a fierce negotiator and a trusted leader. Salaries for registered nurses have grown 113% since she began her presidency. We should all buy you a drink, for sure. Debbie has guided our union to many wins: the core staffing review, new grievance resolution language, pension security, strike avoidance in 2009, the Clarity Project, and more. Under her leadership, the Registered Nurses Union has become a strong patient advocate and defender of public health care. On a day-to-day basis, Debbie provides leadership and direction to our board and staff. While you'll often hear Debbie speaking out publicly about matters impacting patients or her members, much of her work is done behind the scenes. She's worked hard to ensure our voice is heard, that our input is considered, and that we have a seat at the table. Because Debbie always says, if you're not at the table, you're on the table. She sat on countless committees and worked with many leaders at the government and employer level. She represents the Registered Nurses Union on the Canadian Federation of Nurses Unions National Executive Board and has influenced health policy and direction at the national level. But for Debbie, the most rewarding work has always been connecting with our members. Debbie has been a mentor and a friend to us all. Her dedication, her passion, and strategic thinking has taken RNU to new heights. Her influence and impact will continue to guide RNU going forward. On behalf of the 5,300 registered nurses and nurse practitioners, our board of directors, our staff, I am truly proud to present Registered Nurses Union President Debbie Forward with an Ovation Award. At a distance.
Well, I'm quite overwhelmed, actually. This has been just an amazing celebration this evening, and I'm not quite sure about the emotions I'm feeling. It's sort of been a weird couple of days trying to figure out how you feel about it all. You know, your last convention, your last speech, and then this celebration tonight. I'm not sure if I'm sad or happy or what I am. I'm just so honored. Still can't talk about how honored I am to have served as our new president for the last 24 years. And the privilege has been for me to speak on behalf of registered nurses, and to see some of these comments tonight is funny. You know, I thought about, I wonder what they're doing, because they never told me a thing. And if they had to ask me, well, I said I wanted Sister Elizabeth to speak at our convention. I didn't care what else happened after that. And Sister Elizabeth is our closing speaker tomorrow. So I knew I had my wish on the agenda, but I was so surprised to see her speak again tonight. And if they had asked, like, who special would you have wanted? It would have been Rick Mercer. Like, who would have thought that? And that was probably a little bit because I love Rick Mercer, but also my connection to his mom, and having graduated with her and worked with her for a period of time at the Grace School of Nursing. So we have a connection, a nursing connection. So I think it's my time now to say a few thank yous, and I could go on all night, and I'm going to try to keep it pretty brief, and that won't work either, because I'm not very good at doing that. I first would like to thank my members who have stood by me for 24 years. And that's quite phenomenal when you think about it. They lifted me up when I was low, and there were a few low times over the last 24 years. But they also celebrated the good times with me as well. They inspired me. They grounded me in reality sometimes when I got, with some of these big ideas, and they brought me back to earth. But they were also ready to go to battle with me when we needed to go to battle. I've worked with so many our boards, our branch volunteers. I mean, they're endless. Some of them are here tonight. I was so pleased to see Karen and Wendy and Karen and Jeanette and Jo Marie. I mean, and just so many people I could list that have had such an influence on me as a leader and as a person. Before I became president, I was a board member, and Jeanette Andrews was president of the Newfoundland and Labrador Nurses Union. That's what we were called at the time. And I admired Jeanette as a leader. I mean, to me, she was just so calm, right? Calm and just so measured in her approach. And it was my first taste of really understanding leadership. And she taught me so much about what a good leader means and how you express yourself as a leader. And Janesta Holloway is someone else I just have to acknowledge tonight. And I remember when Jo Marie, which I'll talk about in a few minutes, but when Jo Marie decided to run for politics, and I was at a meeting, a CFNU meeting actually in Ottawa, and Janesta was there. And Janesta and I had a conversation at the Minto Suites Hotel overlooking the courtyard. And I said, Janesta, what do you think about, who should become president, the next president of the union? And she looked at me and said, Debbie, I think you should. And I almost jumped over the railing because I was just overwhelmed with her support. And I'll never forget that conversation that she had with me and the support. And that was part of my motivation to put my name forward. But my real motivation came from Jo Marie Aylward. And Jo Marie was such a friend to me when she was president of RNU and I was a board member. And she saw something in me that I really didn't see in myself. But she was just so reassuring and uplifting. And she said to me, you have what it takes. I really think you should do this. And I was just in awe that someone who I held in such high esteem, because I thought no one could be the leader that Jo Marie was, that she would have confidence in me that I should put my name forward to run for RNU president. I've worked with so many leaders over the last 24 years. Like, they've all been part of the success of who we are as an organization and the success of who I am as a leader, because you can't do it alone. I learned that very early on, that it's all about the team that you have with you. And that is always so important. And speaking of team, the RNU staff the past and present staff, I was off. I always could count on them, They'd be fighting the day-to-day battles with the members, on the ground, dealing with the issues, sorting our members out in terms of what I should have been paid today, or what am I going to do about this issue, or this manager said this to me and I don't like it. And they just listened to members. And they did all that while I was off fighting a battle somewhere else, probably with a minister or a premier or an employer somewhere. And when I was off fighting those battles, I could always count on our staff to be fighting the battles on the ground on behalf of our members. And they played such a significant role in all of our accomplishments. And I've said to them many times, we can't do what we do unless we do it together as a group. And everyone has a role to play, and everyone plays their role, and when we do that, nothing but greatness comes out of that, and I think we've seen that over the years. And I'm really pleased that as I move on to retirement, the new team that are going to take over, they have such a strong and dedicated staff there to support them. And that certainly means a lot. When a leader leaves after 24 years, there's a little bit of a gap that is left. But you know what? Our staff are there to support the people coming behind me, and that is so important. Tonight I have to give a special shout out to John Vivian, our Executive Director. John has been there longer than I have, so goodness knows what you're going to do for his retirement. You'll have to take out the dinosaurs, I figure. Whoops. But John is not just a colleague, but he's also a very dear friend. And he's provided knowledge, advice, support, laughter, and even some tears over the years. I've always depended on his support, and you know what? He always had my back. That was one thing I was always assured of, that John had my back. He taught me a lot. And I think I taught him a few things or two as well along the way. And then so many other staff members that were so special and are so special to me. And I'm just going to do the broad staff, because I know if I start, I could be here all night. And then I have union colleagues near and far, some of whom I know are watching tonight. My CFNU colleagues who are not just friends and colleagues, they're my brothers and sisters from another mother. They have been there for me, and no one understands what it's like to be president except another president of another organization. And when times got tough, I called my friends in Nova Scotia or PEI or Alberta or Ontario, wherever it might be, and I would share with them what's going on, and they'd say, yes, Debbie, we understand. And those words were so important because not very many people understand. They understood the job and how tough it was. And I thank them for their friendship and their support for the last umpteen years that I've been around this block. And, you know, I watched those videos tonight and I saw premiers and, you know, colleagues, and there's so many of them, and employers. I mean, we didn't always see eye to eye. Quite frankly, most of the times we were fighting. But we all came at it, maybe from different directions, but we all had the same objective, which was all about how can we make healthcare better for patients and the people of our province. And yes, we had some battles, and some of them were highlighted tonight, and I could still tell story after story of battles. But they always treated me with great respect. And I believe, and I know I treated them with respect as well. Sometimes conversations got heated, but when those conversations were over and we went outside the room, we chat about, well, you know, how are the kids? Or what do you do on the weekend? Or hope you have fun, or because we could put the work behind us and we could talk about the real things that mattered, which were our families and looking after ourselves and things like that. Together, even though we had many battles with employers and government, together though, we've brought about some pretty good change for healthcare in this province over the last 24 years. And that comes from collaboration and from working together and finding a middle ground and finding a way so that we can both win. Because at the end of the day, it is all about what happens on the front line and making sure that we have a healthcare system that supports patients and families and communities and the people that work in that healthcare system. And then, of course, I can't forget the public. The people out there, some, you know, people I had no idea who they were. They'd stop me in the supermarket and say, "You're doing a great job, Debbie." Or they'd say to me, I'd be in Costco and they say, "Do I know you?" And I said, "No, I don't think so. I don't think, no, I don't think so. Are you sure? Did you go to such and such school?" And I said, "No, never went to that school." And they said, "Okay, yeah, you look really familiar." And I'd continue on shopping in Costco, and next thing they'd be tapping me on the shoulder and they'd say, "Now I remember. You're the leader of them nurses, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes, you're absolutely right." And no matter where I went in this province, I was recognized. It could have been at a little tiny store on the Northern Peninsula where I stopped to buy some fresh baked cookies. And I'd walk in that little store and, you know, and it was recently, people from the community were all in there hanging out, you know, having their morning coffee, whatever, and I could hear the whispers as I walked in. "Psst, psst, psst, that looks like, is it her? Yeah, I think that's her. I think that's her." And then the clerk, you know, I'd ask about the cookies or whatever I was buying. Oh, she said, "Yes, they were baked fresh today. Oh, they're so good." And I said, "They look absolutely delicious. I have to buy some." And I'd buy everything, even if I couldn't eat it, because I just wanted to support the community. And then she'd say, "You're the president of the nurses, aren't you?" And I say, "Yes, I am." And she said, "Well, you keep up the good work. You're doing such good work for your members and for the people of the province." And every one of those comments meant so much. And sometimes, yes, I was in a rush and I wanted to keep my head down and just get in and out as fast as I can because I didn't have my hair done or my makeup on. And I learned you can't go out like that anymore, Debbie, because people recognize you, so you always have to be prepared to talk to the public. And all those conversations meant so much to me because they lifted me up. And then we get to my family. And maybe before I get to my family, I just, many times or a few times in the videos tonight, it was acknowledged the great friendship and support I had with a long-time advocate, registered nurse, and just a solid union supporter, Mary Prideaux. And Mary and I worked together for many, many years. And if people think I love the union, if it's possible, Mary loved it more. Mary passed away 6 years ago. And it was a devastating time for our organization to lose someone with that passion and someone, not even just the passion for the RNU, but the passion for nursing and the passion for our patients. And I remember a story about Mary. And my mom was had an accident, and she was quite, I don't know, ill if you'd call it, but anyway, she fell and she broke a few bones here and there, right? And we had her in Emerge at St. Clair's. And Mary was like always the one who would find someone that you could talk to, right, in terms of navigating the system. Mary would always be there and ask, what's going on? Who's looking after her? What nurses, what doctor, what are they going to do with her? And no matter what the issue was, she was right on top of that. And if she could reach out to someone to make it better for you, Mary would do it in a heartbeat. And she did it many times for me. And I'll never forget this. That night Mom was in Emerge. Mary was in palliative care. Just a few days before she passed away. And my cell phone rang. And this was Mary on the other end of the phone. And Mary wanted the lowdown of what was happening with my mother, who was looking after her, how they were treating her, what were they going to do with her. For goodness sake, Debbie, you're not taking her home like that. And she was lecturing me about what I had to do for my mom. And that was Mary Prideaux. She was close to the end of her life, and she was still looking after others. That was 6 years ago. And I still miss her. I still miss her today. And I know she would have been so proud to be here tonight and celebrating with all of us. So I'd like to end off, and I know I'm probably going on a bit long. I'm sorry, Donna, but you know, you give me the microphone and that's just about it. You're going to have to yank me off the stage. But I want to end by talking about my family. And this role is very demanding, and I don't think I quite realized that when I said, I think I want to do this. And my mom, she was so great tonight talking about how encouraging me to run for president. But I'm not sure they really understood the long hours, the travel, the complex issue, and all the stress I would be under at times, missing certain events. But it would not be possible without my family and friends that supported me along the way. My kids were young at the time. They were 10 and 11. Many times I dropped them off at my sister's, my nieces, my mother's, anybody who would take them. They went there because I had to work late. And that was the way it was. Sometimes I even called and said, can you feed them? Oh, can they stay the night? Is that okay? Because I'm going to be late picking them up. And people really stepped up. They said, yes, Debbie, we're good. You continue on. Keep doing what you're doing. My mother, always a role model for me. She taught me what it was like to fight for the things that are important. My dad died when I was very young.
I was 1, actually, at the time. My sister was 3. And my mother was left with a very daunting task to raise 2 young girls. I want to say by herself, but she really wasn't by herself because she had lots of family around her. With me tonight is my Uncle Robert, who was really my father growing up. And there was a wide circle of family and friends of my mother's that just came in and circled us during those really difficult times for my mom. But she taught me what it was like to persevere, to stand up for what is important, be true to yourself, fight for what you believe in, and you can do anything. You can absolutely do anything. My mother used to watch me on TV. Oh yeah, she'd watch the news. And then she'd call me and say, "You look pretty tired tonight." Or, "What was that you were wearing? I really don't like that. Don't wear that again anymore on the news, okay?" But not once did she criticize what I said. Now, maybe she didn't really hear what I said, because for her it was all about how I looked, but not once did she criticize anything about what I said. My sister was there for me. We're very different people. Donna said earlier she's a registered nurse, and I was proud to have an older sister as a registered nurse. She wasn't quite as union-minded as I was. I was sort of the more, outgoing, union type person, and she was sort of behind the scenes in the background type thing, doing what needed to be done to be a good union supporter when the chips were down. But I do remember a time, actually, it was, I believe, the night that Brian Tobin's government legislated us back to work in 1999 on the steps of Confederation Building when we had a rally. We had one every night, and this was our last one. And I remember looking around at the people who were there, and I looked out and I saw my sister and her husband, Derek. I think I got it right. And I was never so proud to see my sister there and the support. They're supporting me and also what we were fighting for, but I knew in my heart that she was there for me. And I'll never forget seeing them there and how much that meant to me, because it wasn't typically something that my sister would do, but then they weren't typical times. But I'll never forget that memory in 1999. And then, of course, I have my 2 sons, Ryan and Paul. I said they were 10 and 11 when I started this job, and I think Brian already said, or one of them already said on the video, they were more excited about the red van that I brought home that I could drive, and the cell phone that I was going to get to use, and the fact that I was now president of the Nurses Union. Like, they just thought this was the best thing. "We got a new van, Mom!" And they were out and climbing around in it and couldn't wait to go for a job and wanted to use the phone. And then I had to tell them, "Now, guys, you realize, right, this phone is only for work." But they were so excited. But I also know that I missed a lot of important events when they were younger. Their birthdays were in October. Well, it just so happened that we also had a national board meeting in October, which always fell on Ryan's birthday. And the union convention always fell every second year on Paul's birthday. So for many years, I'd say, I'm sorry, the birthday day, I wasn't present, and we'd have to find ways to celebrate all the days around it. But not once did they ever complain that I wasn't there for their birthday. Of course, that might have had something to do with the fact that every time I went away, no matter where I went, even if it was to Gander for a day, I brought them home something. It was a prize of some sort. And let me tell you, that got pretty expensive because I was traveling a lot. But I think that was my guilt, trying to make up for the times I was away. And I remember the
them always being amazed when we were out together and someone would stop me at the mall. A random stranger would stop and want to have a chat. And then I'd go a few feet down the mall and then another random stranger would want to have a chat and they'd go, "Mom, do you know those people?" And I go, "No, I have no idea who they are. They just want to talk to me about what's going on in the healthcare system." Thank you for being there every step of the way with me. Could not have been possible without your support and your love and understanding and doing the laundry sometimes when I wasn't around and you realized that you ran out of underwear and socks, which happened a few times, and I had to teach you how to use the washer, because that's what you do as a mother, right? You teach them how to use the washer. And then came along another special girl in our lives, my granddaughter Avery. She was just 3 weeks old when she attended her first convention. Paul and Sarah brought her because she was born on the 2nd of October, and our convention would have been around the week of the 22nd. And Paul and Sarah brought her down, and she was just so tiny, and I was so proud that she was there. She's 6 now, and here tonight. And I know she's probably really bored, but she's being a very good little girl. And the sweetest times, some of the sweetest times I remember is Paul sending me a picture of Avery watching the news, and I'm on the news, and she's standing in front of the TV looking at me. And I remember the first time they sent me that picture, I thought my heart would absolutely melt. Because my precious girl was seeing her Bama, because that's what she calls me, on TV. She can't wait for me to retire. She's already got plans made. She wants me to spend more time with her, obviously, pick her up from school some days, look after her when she's sick. And she said the other day, "Bama, maybe you can look after me when I have a PD day sometime." And I said, "Yes, Bama, cannot wait to be able to look after you at a PD day." I'm looking forward to the simple things when I retire. Going out to lunch with my mother and my sister, not having to plan it 2 months in advance, and not having to cancel because something else has come up. Having coffee with my friends without having to, again, plan many weeks in advance. Being able to pick up Avery after school or look after her if she's sick. Having my kids over for supper on a weekday, like imagine that, and not having to wait until the weekend. Staying in bed on a weekday and not feeling guilty about it. Travel someday. And just enjoying living each day to the fullest. I want to end off by sharing a story that not many know. In 1996, during the board election of a new president, I missed a deadline. The individuals who are running for the board had to have a written submission into the board by 6 p.m. on a Sunday evening, and I thought the deadline was 6:30. So my submission was late. And if the board hadn't decided the next day to accept my late submission, history would have been different. I would not have been elected president on that Tuesday in March of 1996. I often think about how different my life's journey could have been as a result of that mental lapse that I had. I am so thankful that the board decided to overlook that minor little issue, because I would have missed out on one heck of a ride, and it has been one heck of a ride. And I've loved every minute of it. And this has been such an amazing, amazing, amazing evening. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much.
Debbie, can you stay for a second? Yvette? Yvette has another presentation to do to Debbie, and then we'll be done for the night.
Two things, actually, I forgot one. Because everyone knows that when we give an Ovation Award, we always give roses. We got them here, I just forgot to give them to her. But the board of directors, we were trying to think what we could do and what we could give you as a memento to being the president of the Registered Nurses Union. And I look at the pictures up there and I look at you with your little hat on, right? They don't do that no more. And I had a general hat. So we commissioned a little piece for you that you can put on your mantle from the board of directors.
Oh, come on, we got our masks on. We're fine. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, I'm not really good at rapping. I'm not, okay? I'm not a professional. Very hard.
Oh. Oh, wow. Oh, beautiful. Oh. Oh, okay. Gorgeous. Are you going to tell people what it is? You got to get to the microphone. Oh, my God, it's gorgeous.
For those of you who don't know, this would be Debbie's hat when she graduated from nursing, the Bachelor of Nursing program. This is the General Hospital School of Nursing. Jeepers. The Grace, right? St. Clair. Which one had the pointy? St. Clair's, right? St. Clair's, right? Yeah. So, the 4 schools of nursing.
Lovely. Thank you. Oh, it's beautiful. Thank you. Okay. Yeah.
All right, and we do have a special gift here on behalf of the National Executive Board. And Linda shipped this gift to me and asked me to present it to you tonight. So I'll bring it over.
I open it?
Debbie is going to open her gift right there now.
Feels like Christmas.
And it's in a Tiffany bag.
Oh.
And a box.
Oh my goodness, I got so many layers. I got to keep going inside the pouch now.
And the pouch.
Oh. Oh, beautiful bracelet. It's lovely.
It's gorgeous, gorgeous.
Thank you. Well, I'll have to send a special thank you to National Executive Board. Just lovely. Thank you.
So that clues up our night, folks. And wow, what a night it has been.
Yes.
A beautiful evening in celebration of our rock star. Debbie Forward. Happy retirement, Debbie. Thank you all for joining us. Good night.
Thank you.